Hi, this is Algebra 2, Lesson 37. We're going to talk about chemical compounds and parallelograms. We're starting on page 167. Alright, this is either going to be a preview if you have not taken chemistry, or a review if you have taken chemistry. In chemistry courses, some problems deal with the weight relationships of chemical compounds. Most of these problems are straightforward ratio and percent problems. It is necessary to understand a couple of things about chemistry in order to work the problems. Atoms of individual elements combine to form molecules of compounds. So an atom of one element plus an atom of another element form molecules of compounds. Specific elements combine in specific combinations to form any one compound. The chemical formulas of the compounds tell us the number of each kind of atom in a molecule of the compound. So, water's chemical formula is H2O. This means we have H2, this is hydrogen, and we have 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen in every molecule of water. So in one molecule of water we have 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. Zn3n2 is zinc nitride. Zn is zinc, and it says we have 3 atoms of zinc plus 2 atoms of nitrogen. Okay? NaOH is sodium hydroxide. Na is sodium, O is oxygen, H is hydrogen. And there are no numbers in here. So one molecule of sodium hydroxide contains 1 atom of sodium plus 1 atom of oxygen plus 1 atom of hydrogen. 1 atom of each element has a different weight. We express the weights of atoms in grams. These are very, 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 very small grams. So the weight of an atom is its gram atomic weight. The gram atomic weight of oxygen is 16 grams. The gram atomic weight of hydrogen is 1 gram. The book will give you the gram atomic weight of the elements in parentheses in these problems. So in a problem about hydrogen and oxygen, it's going to say O, 16, which means oxygen weighs 16 atomic grams, and hydrogen weighs 1 atomic gram. When elements combine to form a compound, the gram molecular weight of the compound equals the totals of the gram atomic weights of the elements that formed the compound. That means that 1 molecule of water weighs the same as, this is H2O, so it's 2 grams of hydrogen. So that's 2 times 1 gram. So 2 times 1 plus, we have 1 atom of hydrogen, so 1 times, and the atomic weight of oxygen is 16 atomic grams. Okay? So the gram molecular weight of oxygen is going to be 2 times the weight of hydrogen, because there are 2 atoms of hydrogen, which is 2 times 1, plus 1 times the weight of hydrogen, because there's only oxygen, because there's only 1 gram of oxygen. So 2 plus 16 equals 18 grams. 18 grams is a very small amount. Okay, so we are going to be using this information to do a lot of these problems. So here's your first example. The chemical formula for water is H2O. If we have 3,600 grams of water, what is the weight of the oxygen? Okay, where hydrogen is 1 gram and oxygen is 16 grams. So the first thing we know is we're dealing with water. And the molecular weight of water is going to be the sum of the atomic weight of the elements. So we're going to have 2 hydrogens, so it's going to be 2 times 1 for 1 gram plus oxygen is 16, so 16 times, 1 gram and 1 atom and 16 grams, sorry, so this is 18 grams for H2O. That's H2O's molecular weight. Now, we're going to solve this problem by writing down ratios of the amount of oxygen per molecular weight of water and setting up a proportion. So in 1 molecule, there are 16 grams of oxygen and 18 grams of molecular weight. 1 molecule of water is 18 grams, and the oxygen makes up 16 grams of that. Hydrogen doesn't weigh much. This proportion will be the same as the amount of oxygen in our total, which in this case is 3,600 grams. Okay? Now that we have set this up as a proportion, we can cross multiply and solve for O. So we'll have 18 times, I shouldn't use O, we'll use OX. O just looks like a number. Times OX equals 16 times 3,600. That comes out with 18 times oxygen equals 57,600. Divide both sides by 18. And the amount of oxygen in 3,600 grams of water is 3,200 grams of oxygen. Okay? Let's try another one. The chemical formula for ammonia is NH3. If we have 510 grams of ammonia, how much does the nitrogen weigh? The hydrogen weighs 1 gram. The nitrogen weighs 14 grams for each atom. Okay, so ammonia is NH3, which means we have 1 gram of nitrogen and 3 grams of hydrogen for 1 molecule of ammonia. So 1 molecule of ammonia equals 14 plus 3, which equals 17 grams. Okay, so that's the weight of 1 molecule of ammonia. In each molecule of ammonia, we only have 1 atom of nitrogen because there is no number after the N. So, for each molecule of ammonia, we have 1 atom of nitrogen, which weighs 14 grams, and the total weight of the molecule is 17 grams. So 14 out of 17 grams comes from the nitrogen. And proportionally, that's going to be equal to the amount of nitrogen that is in 510 grams of ammonia. Now we can cross multiply, so we'll have 17N equals 14 times 510. I'm going to look at my cheat sheet. And 17N equals 7,140. Divide by 17. And nitrogen equals 420 grams. Okay? Let's try another one. The formula for ammonium chloride is NH4Cl. How many grams of chlorine is there in 1,060 grams of ammonium chloride? Nitrogen weighs 14 grams, hydrogen weighs 1, and chlorine weighs 35 grams. Okay, so the first thing we do is figure out how much one molecule of ammonium chloride weighs. So we have NH4Cl. So we have 1 gram of nitrogen. We have 4 grams of hydrogen. We only have 1 gram of chlorine. We add those together and we get 14 plus 4 plus 35, which equals 53 grams of ammonium chloride. So that's how much one molecule of ammonium chloride weighs. In each molecule of ammonium chloride, we have 1 atom of chlorine, because there is no number after that, and the chlorine weighs 35 grams. So in 1 molecule of ammonium chloride, we have 35 grams of chloride for every 53 grams of ammonium chloride. And that's going to equal the proportion of the amount of chlorine in 1,060 grams of ammonium chloride. And now we cross multiply. So it'll be 53 times Cl equals 35 times 1060. And you pull out your calculator. And you do 35 times 1060 divided by 53, and you find the amount of chlorine is 700 grams. And I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that although you're getting pretty numbers right now, they are not going to last. So expect ugly answers coming sometime soon. Alright, changing subjects. Parallelograms. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral that has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Parallelograms have 4 special properties. The pairs of parallel sides have equal lengths and therefore are congruent. Angles opposite each other have equal measurements and are therefore congruent. Remember, this is the way we write congruent. It's an equal to with a tilde over the top. The sum of any 2 adjacent angles equals 180 degrees. Adjacent means next to, remember. In number 4, the diagonals bisect each other, which means that a diagonal drawn from across the parallelogram to the opposite angles, the diagonals are going to meet in the middle and cut each other exactly in half. So let me show you a picture. Here's a parallelogram, and here's a diagonal from D to B. A diagonal from A to C is going to meet at the exact center of the line DB. Okay? Okay, so we can prove properties 1 and 2 by drawing this diagonal and noting that the 2 triangles formed are congruent. The angles marked 2 have equal measures because they are all alternate interior angles formed by the long parallel sides and the diagonal. So these 2 are opposite interior angles and must be equal. The angles marked 1 are also opposite interior angles and have to be equal. If this angle equals this angle, and this angle equals this angle, that means angle C and angle A have to also be equal. If 2 triangles have 2 equal angles, then the third angle has to also be equal. So we know we have an angle, 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 have angle, angle, angle triangles, and they share this line, this side. So we really have an angle, angle, angle side pair of triangles. And we know, because we learned in an earlier lesson, that if we have an angle, 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 side. So we have angle, 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 side, which means they have 3 equal angles and 1 shared side. That means that the triangles are congruent. So all of the measurements are equal, which means that this side has to equal this side and this side has to equal this side, which proves number 1. It means that this angle equals this angle, and because this is angle 1 plus angle 2, and this is angle 1 plus angle 2, that means B and D are also equal, which proves number 2. Okay, and if we come down here, we can prove number 3. So here we have a parallelogram. We know that the opposite angles are equal. It's a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides, which means, of course, that it can be divided into 2 triangles. And the sum of the interior angles of a quadrilateral are 360 degrees. Therefore, if we come over here, they labeled the degrees with x's and y's. So we have x degrees and x degrees, y degrees and y degrees, because we know the opposite angles are equal. So if we add these, we get 2x plus 2y equals 360 degrees, because there's 360 degrees in a quadrilateral. And if we divide this whole thing by 2, we get x plus y equals 180. So x plus y equals 180, and x plus y equals 180, and x plus y equals 180, and x plus y equals 180. So the sum of any 2 adjacent angles is 180 degrees. Okay? We're going to talk about the diagonals bisecting in lesson 39. So now we have this problem on page 170. ABCD is a parallelogram, and the measure of angle BAD, so that's this angle right here from B to A to D, is 65 degrees. So that's this angle right here. Right there. We're going to find the measure of ADC, so that's this angle with D in the middle, and DCB, so that's this angle with the C in the middle. And we're going to find x and y. And we see that x is right here, it's the length of this segment, and y is right here, it's the length of this segment. Okay? So you look at page 170, and I'm going to find my blank paper, or my work paper here. Okay. First of all, we know that the measure of BAD is 65 degrees. And we know that opposite angles have equal measurements. So if BAD is 65 degrees, then the measurement of angle DCB also has to be 65 degrees because they are opposite angles. So the measurement of DCB equals 65 degrees. Okay? We know that adjacent angles equal 100. The sum of adjacent angles equals 180 degrees. So the measurement of ADC plus the measurement of BAD equals 180 degrees. And BAD is 65. So the measurement of ADC plus 65 equals 180, minus 65, minus 65. So the measurement of ADC equals 115. Okay, I'm going to circle that, and we're going to circle this. Okay, now let's talk about x and y. We haven't proved it yet, but we did learn that the diagonals of parallelograms bisect each other, which means they meet at both of their endpoints. And therefore, if you look at a book again, you'll see that x plus 2 has to equal 7. And you'll see that y plus 7 has to equal 4. Alright, so we're going to solve for x. We're going to get the 2 on this side and x equals 5. And we have y plus 7 equals 4, minus 7, and y equals negative 3. Alright, so y can't really equal negative 3, but that's the answer that we get. So it's ugly, but it's correct for this problem. They didn't think their measurements through. Usually they don't do this in homework. Okay. Let's try the next example on page 170 again. So please look in your book. A, B, C, D is a parallelogram, and we're going to find x and y. Okay? So here's the picture. We have a parallelogram. The corners are A, B, C, and D. The measurement of this angle is 10x plus 50. The measurement of this angle is 5x plus 10. And the measurement of this angle is y plus 10. Okay? Let's start by working on x. We see that the 10x plus 50 degree angle is adjacent to the 5x plus 10 degree angle. And we know that the sum of adjacent angles is 180 degrees. So that means that 5x plus 10 plus 10x plus 50 equals 180 degrees. Okay, now we can solve for x. Let's put like terms together. We have 15x plus 60 equals 180, minus 60 from both sides, and 15x equals 120. Divide both sides by 15, and x equals 8. Okay? We also know the opposite angles are equal. So 10x plus 50 has to equal y plus 10. Okay? And we know that x equals 8. So 10 times 8 plus 50 equals y plus 10. This is 80 plus 50 equals y plus 10. 130 equals y plus 10. Subtract 10 from both sides. Oops. And y equals 120. Okay? Read the pages about parallelograms until you understand it. It's not that difficult. You can do this. And try your practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.